When I left ESPN, and I lost 40% of my hair. Like I had a bald spot that was the size of my hand here. I had one that was the size, of a orange in the back of my head here. I went through alopecia. To lose, my job and to have lost my hair at the same time. Like I felt like for 8 or 9 months, I couldn't stop crying when I got up. And people, it's like, it's just hair. But you don't really realize how much your hair is associated to your identity. When you're dealing with stress in your life, especially if you don't have an outward case like mine where it shows, you don't really realize how much that's just ravaging inside your body.
Yo, what's good? What's poppin'? What it is, what it ain't, what it could be, what it should be, what it would be. Mr. Cam Newton the son, Mr. Boogie to all, and I'm here only to give you good content for the masses and a promise to keep it funky for your asses. Today, we have a journalist. Today, we have an award-winning reporter. We have, even more importantly, a strong IPEDNT. IDEP. Girl, you know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. An independent woman.
That's right.
You feel me? Strong black queen is in my presence, which makes it in our presence. We have Josina Anderson. Yes. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Dang.
I love your colorful outfit.
Man, this was really inspired off you.
Really?
Dig what I'm saying?
What?
Because you the soul sister and been a soul sister for years. When I was doing my research on this with the help of my team, you were the first NFL female insider. So you're a trailblazer.
Thank you.
OG.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get a lot of I don't think you get your flowers while you can.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But if it wasn't for Josina, it wouldn't be a lot of you. But
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw you, we were in Paris. Yeah, we did Fashion Week. And you were in your entire splendor there, doing you, both of us doing us always, without fear.
Yeah.
Without fear, dressing, being our total selves. So
Absolutely.
we're in equal company.
Yeah. So right now where you are, I will be remiss if I did not give you or allow you to use my platform to tell the people what do you have going on these days?
So I'm currently at CBS. I
Okay.
was at ESPN for 10 years, Showtime for a year before that, Fox for 6 years before that. So, I've been in the game for a long time, Cam, long time. And so, I was out of the game for about a year, starting up my own thing while I was transitioning after, just processing everything that had gone on.
Yeah.
And, so I had started my own podcast, Undefined with Josina Anderson. And then Morris Chestnut was actually on that podcast, and I had asked him to start up a show with me last year called The Crew, which I had done with him, Derek Augustine. So I don't know if you've seen Godfather of Harlem. He's the one that played Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And then we did it with Josh Norman and, of course, Brian Urlacher. And this year we're back trying to elevate and evolve things, shooting it in person in Brooklyn. It's me, Morris Chestnut, and Fred Smoots. I'm doing that with CBS, still traveling, doing the games.
Right.
And still keeping it funky, right?
Yeah, I swear. Now listen, even, obviously you got a lot going on. You've been in this industry, and I teased you prior to us, cutting the red button on, and just saying like, you in my territory right now. You know what I'm saying? You playing in the away game, but in a field that's so familiar for you. I told you, and I will reiterate that I don't report to nobody. I don't like reporting to nobody. I never like reporting to nobody. But I have always implemented structure in my life. You shouldn't have the say so to be able to speak on how I talk, how I dress, how I present myself, how I express myself, if it's not condemning or affecting anybody in a negative way. So that's why I really created Funky Friday, because it allowed me to talk about things outside of football. And I think when you're playing, in the NFL, which is the most polarizing sport in America, which makes it the most polarizing sport in the world, you're boxed in. You know what I'm saying? I took opportunities like Sunday morning to express myself, whether wearing a babushka, wearing a flannel jacket, whether wearing some green shoes, just to express myself, to just not verbally say it, but, you know, artistically say it in a way like, man, I'm free. Like, I really enjoy things outside of just calling, you know, twins right, key left, 695 flash, F drag, sneak, alert, you know, certain things. You dig what I'm saying? And a lot of NFL players feel that way. There's more to us than just, you know, football, scoring touchdowns, celebrations, and yeah, that's a lot of us, but that's not all of us. And I wanted you to kind of come on to speak your truth about so many different things, what you got going on in your life, where are you going from here, how the fuck does ESPN let such an amazing talent go? And a lot of, when I was coming up with my questions, this is something that I thought about. Being a female reporter, on top of being a minority reporter, it has a lot of similarities to football players. And I want to ask you, because I feel like being a female reporter is a young woman's sport. Just like NFL is a young man's sport. Me sitting at my age, I don't consider myself young. I mean, I don't consider myself old, but at the end of the day, you know, when you got 21s, 20-year-olds coming out faster than you are, can whatever to what somebody else may deem, how do you feel coming from the reporter side when you see the landscape of women killing it, but at the same time, you know, here you are you know, you have tenure, you have lineage in building something in that manner?
Well, I mean, first of all, always respect everybody across the spectrum. But, you know, even in being in this career, especially over my tenure currently and, you know, my last employer, is always important for me, first and foremost, to let people see that I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And when people ask me about my experience, you know, coming into the locker room, dealing with athletes like yourself for 20 years, that was always my way to set my stage for how I was gonna be. If when you meet me and the first thing that you see is that I know what I'm talking about, everything is disarmed from there. So yes, just like you, I'm gonna come in fully in my splendor.
Yeah.
And it's not for TV. I've been like this since jump. You know, going back to middle school and all that other stuff, I was voted best dressed and all that other stuff. And I've been like this for a while. I've been into fashion. That's why me and you saw each other last in Paris, because I'm legitimately into that stuff. And yes, I want to be a journalist. Yes, I'm into building relationships, and yes, I'm into building contacts. But just like you, I have other things that I can do, and that's why I had named my show Undefined. And that was really important to me, you know, coming out of ESPN. But I guess, you know, for me, even when I see like some of the younger journalists coming up now, or even some of the ones that are left at the places that I no longer work, I do feel proud about some things. Like, so for example, when I was working at my last place, you know, some of the things that I felt like were really important just behind the scenes, and this is just off of the field, is that everybody get treated the same way behind the scenes. And it could be something as simple as... You're
saying they did or they did not?
It was important to me that they did.
Okay.
So, and what I mean by that, it could be something as simple as the makeup room or the green room. So if some of my other, you know, Caucasian American colleagues can come into the green room or the makeup room and they can start with their hair wet and get their hair done and be ready to go on, let's say, Sports Center or whatever else, and not have to pay for their hair before they come to get their hair done, you know, I want to be able to have that same experience. So like, for example, I shouldn't have to spend whatever amount of money to get my hair done in New York before I get my hair done before I come to work. Or, for example, so I'm an insider, and obviously you have people that I respect very much, Adam Schefter, Chris Mortensen, or what have you, that break news and are known for doing that on those platforms. But for me, I'm probably the next one to do it with that same frequency, right? So I'm going to notice when there is not the same attribution, for example, on the bottom line. Yeah.
That journalism coming out.
Yeah.
But nuke this shit down for me, please, because I will put some water to it. Because I'm hearing you when you say, and let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah.
If I'm a person, let's say I'm a Caucasian, the attention to detail isn't as strenuous to some, not all, let's just say some, and I have to be very mindful of saying this, of hair and texture and certain things, right? Now, Josina Anderson walks in there, Cam Newton walks in there, and it's like, bro, if you're not used to cutting my hair, you can't cut my hair. If you're not used to doing my texture of hair, then it's going to cost a little more, but that doesn't make, that expense is not something that you can just bypass because it has everything to do with my image.
Or it doesn't make me extra
Right.
because I'm asking. I feel like, and this is just one example, obviously there's many, but the same way there are products to take care of, whoever else's hair that's not like ours is the same way there should be for us, and if, we have, and not to say it's exclusive to Black women, but if I got a track or whatever, it's not necessary that I'm saying I need you to be able to do a weave before I go on, but if something is, needs to be tighter, I do need you to have the string to make sure it's not falling off on the air. And I would say, I'm proud of that because I felt like that was something that I did speak up about, when I was there, in addition to what I was just saying about everyone having the same, recognition for the report that they would have on the bottom line so that when people watching the TV, it's not just saying reported by Adam Schefter or Adrian Woj, it would say, Josina Anderson or whoever else. And so that's something that I do feel like is an impact that I had. Now, when you watch, you not only see them, but you even see the regional reporters across too. So it's just, there's examples like that of, and, for me, I always felt like a unicorn. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Oh, and I think we're, kin in that way. I always felt like a unicorn. Just, there was, there are other people who obviously break news and do that, right? But as far as doing it as a Black female, consistently across 32 teams, consistently over 10, 15 years, I felt like I was just in that box by myself as a Black female doing it in that place. So that in and of itself had its stuff. You know what I mean?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
You have other issues too that you have to break prior to, so you can do your job. And it has nothing to do with your talent. It has everything to do with like this, who I am, it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I still have a job to do.
Yes.
And I say that because your job requires you to be in the presence of masculine men.
Yes.
And you're a good looking woman.
Thank you.
Right? No, let's just keep it a buck, right? And oftentimes, it may be easier to talk to an Adam Schefter. It may be easier to talk to another man. But when it's coming from a woman, it's like, oh man, I got all these distracting things to some, not to all. And I'm just giving you, I'm just keeping it funky.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? And that's not to say your word should ever be compared to this person, or he has more information than I have, because I have the same information, if not more information. But I'm just saying, where you are, you're fighting that hurdle too. It's like, oh my God. And I was guilty, by making a public statement that, I have to be mindful of what I say and how I say it, because it can come off as insensitive, it can come off as sexist. But at the end of the day, the truth is, as an attractive female, it's a gift in some industries, but in this industry, it could be a curse. Well,
I feel like everything is all about how you carry yourself. And one thing I'm really mindful, especially as a Black female, is like narratives. I don't like, you know, first of all, I remember one time I had to tell my boss there, just to give him an idea sometimes how I feel. You know, I just said, imagine walking into a workplace, you know, that's all black people and you're one of the few white people. You know, or whoever else, you know, type of ethnicity. Sometimes that's how we feel. And there are things that could be just as simple as me pulling up to the building and dealing with microaggressions from security and how I'm treated even before I walk in the building, you know, in terms of extra checking me in my Uber and, you know, if I got my pet in my car and I can't do this or you know, you may, or you're delaying me just to like aggravate me because people don't necessarily check their biases or their, you know, their perspectives before they come to work. They carry that to work. And if I come into a meeting, you know, I'm dealing with all of your, you know, perceptions,
insecurities,
your thought processes of just me as a black woman when I just sit down in the meeting. And even before I say anything, I mean, I could be just offensive to you in just how, you know, how I just am, or your preconceptions, you know what I mean? Or just me just speaking up, even though my volume might not be up, even though I might not be saying anything in an attacking way, it's already just perceived that way. Let me just give you one example. I remember when I did an interview with OBJ and Lil Wayne. Just to give you one example, and there's a lot of them because I was there a long time in other places. But one of the things that I kept saying before that piece aired was that Lil Wayne can't just sit there and, you know, and have it air like that. You know, he also spoke up during the interview and he is knowledgeable about football. He's a Packers fan. And obviously OBJ in that interview, he said a lot of impactful things about Eli Manning and all that stuff at the time. And, you know, at the time I felt like they were just so focused on what OBJ was saying and that was the juice or what have you. And they were going to literally air it. And I'm pretty sure it did air this way, if not just the minimal stuff said from Lil Wayne, with him just sitting there. And I kept saying, and this was the night before the interview, I kept saying, people are gonna watch this and be like, why is Wayne just sitting there? Oh, no. And I'm like, but here's the thing, like, you don't even have this interview without me bringing it here. That's number one. They're not, y'all don't care about it being on the network, especially now.
But this is the issue, and this is what stems racism. This is what stems hatred. This is really what stems sexism, any type of prejudiceness. It's not that you don't care, it's the fact that you don't know. People don't know how much of an impact Lil Wayne is in the culture. You listen to, in a league that's dominated by more than, I say 85% of the men that are playing in the NFL are black men, right? If everybody knows who Lil Wayne is, I had a conversation, I had a guest yesterday and was speaking on like, man, why don't everybody, you know, take the Lil Wayne approach and drop mixtape after mixtape after mixtape after mixtape. And it's like, people in high power, they don't feel like it's important because it's not important to you.
Well, you know what? Before the game started, because I was doing that game from Pittsburgh, even though he was playing with the Giants at the time, and it was Carolina, and then it was like, I remember before the game, somebody had said to me, oh, he's got 33 million followers on. And I'm like, yes. You know, like, it's not just he's Lil Wayne, but yes, he has a big following. And it's like, oh, can you get him to da-da-da-da-da? But this was like, you know, an hour before the game. And the thing is that after it aired, just to wrap it up, is that people were saying, obviously it was good, you know, it went all over the place, but they were like, why is he just sitting there? And I was like, but I said this, and we were on and just to paint the picture a little bit more, you know, we were on a conference call where I was the only one a part of the conference call that looked like me. And it's not to just immediately say that you can't understand me simply because you look different than me. But what I'm saying is sometimes, you know, you don't really understand the feeling of that, of being that only representative of that only ilk in that conversation, trying to speak up. And then instead of after the fact, well, Josina was right. Oh, well, Josina always got this to say. Josina this, that, and the third. And so you carry whatever negative connotation sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes that can be connected to a black female, specifically also if you speak up,
double minority.
Specifically if you dress a certain way, specifically if your nails are done, specifically if you red lipstick or whatever. When I walk on the field, it's already,
No, let's keep it. Let's keep it funky.
Yeah.
White America, people who don't understand, can you show the camera your nails? Please.
Well, this is really tame.
No, but I'm just saying.
Typically, they're longer than this.
No. Check this out. That is what we appreciate that in our culture as a man, because my rule is this: if one nail is broke, all of them are broke.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course. And
it's not to say that you get your nails done and you get them acrylic, you get a fill-in, you get this. It's like I'm a sucker for natural beauty. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to wear lipstick, but if you got your lipstick on, it better be put on. You know what I'm saying? It's not that your hair has to always be done. Yeah. It's just like, boom, putting your hair in a ponytail could be just as a turn on, you know, to a person who has their hair laid. Now, at the end of the day, I think the understanding of knowing what other people like is just as important as you knowing what you like. And I think that's the issue. You know, where we are right now, and I think it really made sense for me when I saw the documentary Victoria's Secret, Angels and Demons. And here's a brand who accumulated so much wealth, Lex Wessner. And they talked about so many different, you know, disparaging things about, you know, obviously the Harvey Weinstein, the Epstein situation, and that's not what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is from the brand side, how they were tone deaf to understanding that, okay, what got us here isn't going to take us there. Meaning, what got us to a multi-billion-dollar entity is not going to keep us as a multi-billion.
We got to evolve.
We got to evolve.
Yeah.
They did not evolve.
Yeah.
And now when you see companies like Fenty, led by Rihanna, she's like, bro, I'm not just trying to appease to the Caucasian blue eyes, perfect, skinny, you know, petite body with a little plump, not a lot of plump, but a little plump.
Although all, you know, races showing a little bit more, you know, these days.
Come on.
Artificial and natural.
Synthetic motor.
Yes.
But with that, coming from a man, me personally, I don't care. At the end of the day, if you invest in yourself, then if you don't invest in yourself, I don't care if you're going to get an Equinox membership, an LA Fitness membership, or just walking down the street.
Simon Orion in Los Angeles.
You see what I'm saying? How you expect me to invest in you with your time? You know what I'm saying? So I get it. But at the end of the day, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, listen, for Victoria's Secret, they painted an image that was appeasing for a time. When people start realizing, like, listen, that's not me. I can't fit in a size 2. You know, for me, it's like, I can't fit in a size 30, bro. Like, Abercrombie and Fitch, like, that's not, like, I'm a fit man that, bro, I can't be 220 if I wanted to. I will kill myself.
Well, I do feel like over time, you know, more women have been embracing, you know, self-love. You see more plus-size models embraced on the runway. You see it in the music industry with people like Lizzo and what have you, fully embracing that on Instagram. Sometimes I feel like I see more people being either natural without makeup, whether it's Alicia Keys or just regular women being okay with showing their stretch marks and things like that. But, you know, even one of the things I just wanted to say to you, just relative to what I feel like has been my experience, speaking of self-love over the last couple of years, is just I learned so much about stress management and, you know, just processing trauma, you know, specifically even. Well, I mean, just, you know, I'm not married, I don't have kids, and so my job was just really important to me, you know, and I've always been like that. I mean, I've been on the road for 20 years covering these games, 20 years, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm good with that. We talk, you know, the guys on my show always, you know, make fun of me for being a doggy mama. We can get into that or what have you. But what I'm really trying to get into, especially because you're talking about just impactful things and I want people to hear this, is that, you know, what I learned in that time was just about the effect of stress. And a lot of people don't know this, and I will talk about this on your show, is that when I left ESPN, and I know Carlos who's helping me here, you know, as a PR rep, but A lot of people don't know, in the time that I left ESPN, like I lost 40% of my hair. And I went through alopecia.
I know what alopecia is. I had alopecia.
And
it's a direct correlation for people who don't know. It can spark a lot of things, but one of the main things is stress.
Yes, it can be. You can have onset of that, and so to lose, my job and to have lost my hair at the same time. I remember a lot of people watch Fox and CBS. CBS with James Brown in the mornings, and people also don't know that he's a minister. And there were just times that him and his wife were just on the phone with me where, like, I felt like for 8 or 9 months I couldn't stop crying when I got up. Not only was I dealing with the loss of my job, but I couldn't even look in the mirror, like I couldn't comb my hair. And you don't really realize, and people, it's like, it's just hair. But you don't really realize how much your hair is associated to your identity and how you feel just going out in the day. Just if the wind is gonna blow your hair and is it gonna show? Like I had a bald spot that was the size of my hand here. I had one that was the size, of a orange in the back of my head here and the size of like a golf ball here. Right. And people didn't know because my natural hair is thick by itself, and I haven't had a perm for 10 years. So I would still wear it down on the air, and you wouldn't even know that I was covering up those spots. And even just being intimate with the man or what have you. I mean, I started to feel and resolve within myself that I was just gonna wear ponytails for the rest of my life. And so over that time, I became so educated about Ayurveda and yoga. And, it's almost like I fell in love with the produce section in the grocery store. And now I'm so much more educated on just herbs and Eastern medicine and all the natural things that are already on this earth that can just heal your body without Western medicine. And I just wanted to say that when you're dealing with stress in your life, especially if you don't have an outward case like mine where it shows, you don't really realize how much that's just ravaging inside your body. And that's what stress does. And I just want to say, like, last year when all of a sudden, let me just say this real quick. I had moved to a new place, and I was walking into my bedroom, and TD Jakes was on the YouTube. And I walked into my bedroom, and TD Jakes said, and God said he was gonna give your hair back. And I had to and I was like, did he just say that? Yeah. And I was like, that couldn't have been. So I had to rewind it back on the YouTube, because I was like, did I just hear what I heard? But what I didn't realize is there is a character in the Bible who had lost their hair and it came back. But literally as I walked in, that's what I heard. And within 3 weeks, I haven't showed these pictures, eventually I will, or what have you, but my hair came back so quick. I'm just talking about 2 months. It just started I never thought it would come back. Right. And the point of that story is that as much as you can tell yourself that you are okay, your brain is so smart to really realize when it's actually true. When you really reach the place of acceptance of your circumstance or just being at peace with something. And I really felt like at that point, when I was willing to accept it, and other things that had occurred, and especially the loss of what I felt was so big to my identity, and just almost maybe similar to you with football or what have you, or whatever else going on in your life, is that's when it came back. And that, to me, that was reflective of a lot of different things,
Man, listen, I was stuck, because I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day too, and you were speaking on your identity and internal acceptance, right? To you, it may have been hair. To me, it may be my size. To another person, it may be,
marriage, their husband.
It's other things.
My husband, my man,
my
car,
partner, my girl, my dog, and when you lose that,
yes,
it's like, oh my goodness, now what, God? Where are you? What are you telling me? And then people, start blaming God, and it's like, well, if you love me so much, why you do this?
Why
and instead of saying, why not me? Because more people identify with what you're going on or what you got going on more than you even know. So you even sharing that story is going to make people say, like, you know what, bro? I fuck with Josina. She ain't have to tell me that, because I always looked at you, you know, in a way where you wanna me. You know what I'm saying? You us.
Yeah.
You feel me? And when I was reaching out to you, and I was like, man, bro, I need Josina to come talk, because I need a strong Black woman, and I need a strong woman that can hold her on it, and let's have a real conversation, because I don't know what went down at ESPN. I honestly don't even care. And what God has for you is even bigger than that. I claim that. But we would have never been able to have this type of transcript in that field. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm sitting up here telling, like, man, look, where I'm at in my life, I'm so at peace. I'm so at peace, because I really enjoy taking my kids to school. Boy, you got a lot of kids. No, listen, I want more. Hear me. Like, this ain't that situation that society has painted us to be like, oh man, we got all these damn kids. Like, no, these motherfucking kids got a hell of a damn daddy. And I'm glad that they give me a lot of purpose. There's a situation going on in the NFL right now where, you know, a person is like still there. And my son asked me a question the other day. He was like, man, what do you think about this? And I'm like, listen, bro, you need me. Like, I can't speak on that, but what I will tell you is I enjoy picking you up from school. You're in high school right now, bro. I got 2 more years with you. You feel me? And you getting up out my house, and if you getting out my house, you getting out your mama house too, because you ain't about to sit up here and be a grown man, not doing nothing, playing Xbox or PlayStation all damn day, and not doing something. So if you see me get dressed every single day, not to go work out, but to go work and come back, and whether you know what I'm doing or not, it gives you understanding, like, man, my pop did it, so I got to do something. And I want to be there for my children, to teach my daughters, you know, to protect them from men like me at one point in my life, or boys like me, not men, but boys.
You telling on yourself?
You dig? I'm just keeping it above, keeping it funky. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you know, I appreciate you just for sharing that, because like a lot of people appreciate real shit. And
well, listen, I've been through it, and I feel like that impacts my interview style. Even when I was interviewing people who are controversial or going through controversial things, whether it be Antonio Brown, whether it be Adrian Peterson, Vontaze Burfict, Frank Clark. I mean, all the people that I've interviewed, controversy or not, I feel like, you know, they know I'm still going to ask. Right. But they also know it's going to be down the middle, it's going to be fair, and they also know I can understand and I can relate. Right. And even at times when people are doing things that people perceive to be crazy or a lot, you know, I remember my Super Bowl interview with AB, and you know all the things that he's going through, and he has gone through a lot, and it has expressed himself in a lot of different ways. But my feeling, based on how I want to be treated and how I feel like people perceive me, is to ask, you know, but what's the why behind that? You know, why are you, you know, expressing yourself like that? You know, it comes from somewhere. And Oprah once said that a lot of times that when she does interviews, she will ask people, you know, like, what's the most traumatic thing that happened to you when you were a child? Because the answer to that one question can explain so much about a person. You know, at the root of anger is pain, at the root of, you know, frustration and acting out is pain. Yeah. So if you can get to the pain of a person, that's, you know, I mean, before I told you that, a lot of people wouldn't even have known that about me. Two years ago, people might not have known I had just maybe $340 in my bank account at one point, because I was just being stubborn about moving out of my spot, you know what I'm saying, and doing what I needed to do. But at the same time, I always came up, because my mother is the same way, and my father is the same way, always said to me, and well, my grandfather, your last name starts with Anderson, so always act like you're at the front. But also, too, is, you know, to always dress beyond where you are. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I know clothes gives you a certain identity as a way to express yourself, but like the other day when I was covering the Bills-Dolphins game, and I was going through a lot of stuff with my production behind the scenes, and I was not in a good space mentally before I did the game, and I was just like, whatever, Camilla, this designer, had sent me some stuff, and I was just like, I didn't know if I was gonna wear it at that game, but I just did it for me, because I was just like, you know what? And I felt so much better when I went to the game, because it's not necessarily about flossing, because expressing myself has always been about how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
And it did just give me a boost or what have you.
Right.
And I remember Von Miller came over, and people were like, oh, that's but it did give me a boost. And that's what you can give yourself, even when, you know, you're going through that nobody even knows. I don't know what you were going through before you got here today.
To this, what I did go through, and a part of my morning routine, I do listen to inspirational clips, and TD Jakes was in my audio. I do that for multiple reasons, because I take pride in taking my children to school. I went to 3 different schools this morning.
So you for real doing daddy daycare.
Oh my goodness, like real talk.
Right.
I went to Westlake High School, which is my alma mater. My son goes there now.
Yeah.
I went to Woodward Academy.
Yeah.
I dropped Sovereign Dior off, my daughter, and Chosen off, boom. And then I went to the Goddard School as well, where my son Kamitis is going right now in pre-K. And as I'm going through that, I play audios to get into their mind. You are great, you are impactful, you are smart, you are things, as a way to, it's
positive
not
affirmations.
It's positive affirmation. And one thing that he said is like, listen, some things in life require you to be your biggest fan. Don't look for somebody else to give you something that you ain't even doing for yourself. You know, my girl, she always says, like, I'm always guilty of being hard on myself. Like, damn, Ken, you stupid as fuck. Right? That was aggressive, but I'm sorry. But it comes out, you know, and it's like, oh man, damn.
You don't realize how you putting that in your own DNA. Yeah, I know what you're about
to say. But to me, I say, you know, I always see KD do it, right? And you know, it's just the first thing that popped up. Like when he shoots a 3 or whatever, he slaps himself on the behind. It's almost like a pat on your back. And like for me too, like when I do certain things, like I'm just like, I give myself a hug. And for a person who doesn't know me, they'd be like, oh, he's so into himself. Oh, he's so arrogant.
No, you're boosting yourself.
Yes.
And you can't, and listen, you can't be afraid to let people know what you've done, you know, because if anybody is going to give yourself, you know, some positive love, you know, it has to start with yourself. Listen, I don't have no problem. I mean, thanks, you know, for the introduction, but I don't have no problem telling you either, you know, because sometimes, you know, people act like they don't know.
Correct.
And let's, you know, let's know what it is. But even to what you're saying, just about how you started off your day, you know, one of the things that I found was, how, and I think was a big reason in helping my hair come back too, was just how important routine is. And even just not only the experience of it, but like someone like my co-host, Morris Chestnut, he gets up every day like around 4 a.m. and he always talks about, like, he's so diligent about it. And like sometimes I feel like we all get up like based on how we feel. I do it today based on how I feel. And he always talks about how important it is to get, you know, yourself done for yourself before you do anything for anybody else. And there was a time when I was going through that for 2 years where I was really good, not necessarily right now because the season started, but just making sure I get up and I do my yoga, and I feel so much better when I do that. And I learned how I mean, and we can get even deeper into this, but yoga would teach you, especially yin yoga and other stuff like that, is that how much stress even women carry in their pelvis section. So sometimes you might stretch out your pelvis and not realize while you're crying, because you can learn about that stuff, how you carry trauma even in your pelvis area, how you carry ama in your brain, and when you stretch, you're not just stretching just to release muscle fascia, but you're also releasing things that you're storing in your body, and it has to come. And stretching is one way of releasing those toxins out of your body, out of your mind, and and then juicing. How important juicing has become to me. I can go on and on and on and on about that.
Let's talk about it. Like,
no,
I'm sensing that. Through the darkest time of your life, or one of the darkest times, or a time in your life, you relied on diet as a way to cleanse yourself.
in my mind
Right.
and my heart, and also just became educated just so much about how, like I said, there are things on this earth that are truly healing, how important it is just to start your morning off with lemon water and lime water. People, you gargle your mouth, but you have to gargle your stomach. You have to clean your stomach. And then, from there, how
Gut.
important, yes.
The gut is important.
Absolutely, how important, celery juice is. And I know people make fun, all these people make fun of me about that, but people don't really know that, celery in and of itself is really a way to push out pathogens out of your body, bacterial and viral. And cucumber juice, and how, when you peel a cucumber, you don't really notice how cold a cucumber is by itself, and how cucumber can lower the temperature in your body so you don't have inflammation and mucus and things like that, and how good it is for your skin. I'm proud to be, what am I, 44? You know what I'm saying? I've been around for a long,
44?
yes, I am. And I proudly take care, but I've always done that and taken care of my skin.
Who put you on this? Is this a new Josina?
What, as far as
like
the attention to this stuff? I wasn't all into this stuff until I lost my hair, really. When you have an autoimmune that was like a sudden onset, and I didn't know about alopecia at the time when it came out, and I saw a bald spot there. I was blaming the hairdresser, like, how you put a bald spot in my head, taking out my track. And I'm like, how in the hell? Now, I would lift my hair up here and had a huge bald spot here, and I never thought my hair would be back here. Right. But anyways, so I became into that. Going through that experience, and just how important cucumber is, with that, and people don't know, like a East Indian herb like mangista is important to move lymph, and how important lymph is. And then, like the other day, one of my friends who's behind the scenes, he was showing me that he had eczema, and he was getting ready to go to the dermatologist, and I was like, and I'm not poo-pooing Western medicine, but I was just like, that's all about your liver. What is happening on your skin is about your liver and heavy metals and viruses and bacteria that you have to clean out, and that they get trapped in your skin when your lymph is backed up. So when you clean your lymph and you move your lymph and your gut is healed, then everything can exit out your body as it should and not get trapped in your skin. That's what eczema, psoriasis, and things like that are. The dermatoxin effect. So, like, for example, when I started juicing, I read about this thing called the dermatoxin effect. It comes from Anthony Williams. You can, go to his Instagram page, Medical Medium, or what have you. And he was like, if you juice and you don't exercise, you might see this thing called the dermatoxin effect. You get rashes or eczema, certain things on your skin. And so when I went to the dermatologist just to see what they was going to say, oh, you have eczema. And I was like, no, I don't. It's the dermatoxin effect. You know what I'm saying? I knew I started juicing, but I wasn't exercising at the same time. Right. So if you start juicing, you don't exercise. It has nowhere. You have to do all. You got mind, body, and soul has to go together. Correct. You have to do it all together. Right. And so once I started exercising, and then I was also taking this thing called Mangista and this other things that I was doing at the time, it cleared up on its own without doing anything. Like, I had no spots on my skin, whatsoever. And I didn't put no steroid creams or put any extra stuff that's gonna mess up my liver that is gonna show up as something else 3 years from now. So anyways, I can go on and on about that stuff. But I'm a natural researcher. Yeah. I'm a natural person that loves information. Right. So instead of, doing it for you to get ready for an interview, I was just doing it for myself. Yeah. I was just doing it for myself.
Man, I like that, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is impact. You about to tell me, hey, I say, man, order celery juice for the whole damn crew, and that's what we eat.
You would see me on the set with a big thing. It might be like free agency. You go back and look at some of those clips. I have a tall thing of green juice on the set because I knew what I was going through. That you made. Yes, I knew what I was going through at the time. My last year at ESPN, I was losing my hair, and while they were stressing me out over everything going on behind the scenes, they didn't know I was literally losing my hair at the same. Oh my God, we could.
So listen, that's very wowing and impactful.
Yeah. I told you I'd give you something.
Man, you dropped it. I'm starting to tell you, you dropped information on me and for us just to be able to go back and say, damn, is she right? She was right. Like, what are we doing? Like, let me do this. Yeah. But even then, I have to call a lot of BS on the industry, right? And it's almost like this. I feel it as minorities that companies will just do something just to say we did it. Like, okay, we got somebody already. We don't need to infiltrate everybody. Like, we got one Josina. We don't need you know.
I got one better for you. Not just to have the one as the representative of all, but when something happens to those, and you know, whether it's me, whether it's Carrie Champion, whether it's Jamel Hill, whether it's Dan Levitard, whether it's whomever, but just to speak even in the Black female category, and this is not just at my former place, but even over the path of my career, is to then just ignore or lift up under the, you know, leave under the rug rather, you know, what happened by just hiring another one. Don't look at what happened over here. Right. See, it's no problem over here because we did
Correct.
that. But
so,
it doesn't,
So to my point, I'm saying this. Why is it that even in our culture, when we're taken care of, we don't look to our forefathers who came before us, and that may be not forefathers, but foremothers, right? And also looking to say, okay, man, I'm only here because Josina was here. You know what I'm saying? I was only here because Michael Vick was here, Randall Cunningham, Culpepper, Vince Young, everybody, Steve McNair, you know what I mean? Warren Moon, you feel me? And even to this point, it's like, are you proud of the women's state in the industry? Does real women, we all talk about women empowerment and this, that, and the third, but does women empower other women really?
Well, all I can do is speak for myself. And I know this, that if, for example, you know, let's say Fox wanted to hire me and it was going to impact Pam Oliver, I wouldn't take that job. I wouldn't do something that was going to impact her frontier and pioneer status. You know what I mean? I have respect not just for what my position is, but how it impacts everybody. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? And I do feel that, I mean, me in particular, I have people that ask me and jump in my DMs and ask me questions all the time, and I try to, because I know how important it was, you know, for me. I know what it feels like to send out 200 resume tapes and not have, you know, someone respond, and how that just one person might be the person to get you through that week. You know, I lived on the couch for 4 years, you know, when I was waiting for my job before I got to Fox in Denver, and how I almost quit and went to sports psychology, you know, and how that one person that one day can be that impact. So I try to at least be that person to stop. You know, and I feel like that's what's led me to become an insider, because I feel like I'm good with those details with people. Right. I wish that they were all like that to me. I'm the one that's going to text you back. I'm the one that's going to call back. I try to be that for them, because I didn't get to, you know, a place like to be a national reporter on looks, or because somebody gave it to me.
Or you did something for somebody.
Or I didn't get there when I was like in my 20s. Yeah. You know, like you see some of the younger ones now getting there earlier. I mean, I got there in my early 30s. Right. You know, I've been to the Oregons, the Denvers, the Chicagos, all over the country, and like really came up right. And so I understand what that feels like, and I feel like I carry that in the way that I talk and I manage myself, or just even with other people. So to answer your question, I can talk about myself and how I would want people to handle it, you know, with me. And I take that seriously, and I feel like when I'm in a field with people like y'all, y'all can feel that energy. Yeah. And likewise, you can feel when it's not real, and people trying to create that energy. Right. And oh, by the way, I see it with the ones that it's not real. Right. You know, like for me, when I'm doing the post-game interview, it really is not just about the X. Tell me about the X and O's and what happened when, you know, he was doing the cover one and did. It's not, you know, it's like, you know, tell me about the heart of what happened. Yeah. You know, like you remember the Minneapolis Miracle when Stephon Diggs, you know, and then no one expected that, and then I'm a meme on Twitter because and he was crying, you know, but that's the moment you're trying to get, you know, and I forget the name of the two players, but I mean they were so surprised. I think it was Robeson and I'm forgetting the other ones, whatever his name was.
Everson Griffin.
Yeah, and then they You remember? See, you remember that stuff. You see, you remember when they came over and they gave me a big hug and they was messing my hair, and then everybody's like, "Oh Lord, they gonna mess up her weave on there," and they got their armpits in my head and all this other stuff. But those are the moments you're trying. That's what you're trying to create. Or I'm in the locker room with Tyreek Hill this past whatever, and he's doing an interview with his big sunglasses on. So I get my big Versace's on. I'm like, shoot, you gonna have yours? I'm gonna have all mine too, and we're gonna do it without. And I don't care. I'm not trying to look like your cookie cutter report. We're gonna do it out. And there's some people in my DMs, you know, well, you know, no. But we got the moment, and it's about the moment. It's about the moment. And that's what I feel like is so, I'm not gonna name names on that. Sometimes I do name names. I'm not gonna do it right now. But sometimes it's too clinical. And I'm like, that's not what it is. That's not what it is.
I just said this recently, and I said, I came into a league that I was the minority. Now I'm looking at a league now, the Tom Brady's and the Aaron Rodgers are the minority. You know what I'm saying? And even just to clear this up real quick, like, there's no squad. I wouldn't be who I was without Jamarcus Russell, right? I don't know how he feels about me, but bruh, you know how to contact me. And I'm looking forward to you contact me because I'm gonna contact you. And as black men, we are in a position where we only feel superior, where it only could be one of us. When it needs to be all of us. You dig what I'm saying?
And the power in numbers and the power in supporting one another.
Nobody taught me. I had Michael Vick, I had Donovan McNabb, I had all these different people that was there, but I had to learn a lot of things on my own. You feel me? And a lot of what I did was outside the box, just like how you interview outside the box. But we can keep going on and on about different things. Man, Josina.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And as I always end every interview on Funky Friday, we're going to start with this one. This is mine. Well, this will be ours. We're going to go to this one. And then we're going to finish with that one.
Okay.
One finger. One pinky. One thumb.
Did it.
One love with them doggone nails. I got to get, what is that, the French tip? Is that a French tip?
Yeah, this is a French manicure. Yeah, a little angled one though. That really needs to be done, so don't get too close on it because it's like, it needs to be, I get my feeling it's not doing it.
Cool. We get it. We appreciate it. Yeah!
Oh, thank you, Kim. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.